for stopping by our website, Xtreme Equipment. My name is Jason Wood, and I'm the co-owner of Xtreme. Today what we want to do is talk about what makes the Xtreme line of lifts so different than anything else out there on the market. But to do that, we have to first understand how the market has evolved over the years. In today's lift market, you have two kinds of companies operating in the U.S. Companies that manufacture overseas and bring in cheap, lower price lifts, and companies that make them in the United States that are way overpriced for that kind of quality. That's what separates Xtreme Equipment. Let's face it, the only reason to manufacture in China is for two reasons: access to cheap, bad material and access to unskilled labor. Now, regardless of whether or not a company owns a factory in China or whether or not it's been US 9001 certified or not is absolutely immaterial. The only reason to be in China with the obvious cost to ship over to the US is the cheap labor and the cheap material. Now, I don't know about you, but I've never heard of a certified welding program, for example, in China. I don't think any of us have. And anybody that's ever bought an $8 socket set at a swap meet can tell you exactly why Chinese steel is substandard to US steel. The tensile strength is lower and the process isn't good. It's corrupted with a lot of recycled material in it. So with that said, the Chinese lifts come in and they're cheaper in price, but you've got to remember that the quality matches the price. When it comes to quality on a 4-post freestanding lift, for example, what we're really talking about is safety. The companies that make the lifts overseas all have one thing in common with each other that they don't have in common with Xtreme Equipment, and that's an inside plastic slider design. If you navigate through the website, you'll see pictures of what we're talking about, but all of the companies that go overseas, you will not see this outside steel slider design. This requires fabricating skill and skilled labor to make this happen, and we'll go over that here in a minute. Now, the other side of the coin are the U.S. companies that claim that the only reason to buy from them is because they're U.S. made. In today's market, that's not enough. The quality may be there, but if the price is through the roof and consumers can't afford the product, it doesn't matter how good it is. And let's face it, we're all patriotic, but that alone is not a reason to buy a product made in the U.S. American ingenuity is what's fueled the economy for 100 years, and it will for another 100 years to come. That's why we've hooked up with the manufacturer that's found a way to make this outside steel slider design 100% American made for less money. That's the American way. So what we're going to talk about now is this design right here, the outside steel slider, and why this design is superior to anything else out there on the market. Now, buying a freestanding 4-post lift is not all that complicated. There's only a few things you want to take a look at to ensure that it's going to be safe. And let's face it, safety is our #1 concern. I mean, anytime we're going to stand underneath an automobile, safety obviously should be priority one. What we talk about when we talk about an outside steel slider design versus an inside plastic slider design is really how the deck of the unit attaches to the leg. It's this 90-degree piece. Anytime you have anything with 4 legs and a platform attached to it, doesn't matter if you're talking about a dog, a desk, or a 4-post lift, that elbow joint will determine a couple of things. First of all, the rigidity. In other words, does it wobble? And second of all, the safety, because by eliminating wobble, you eliminate the ability for the lock to get separated from its locking position. With the inside plastic slider designs, the only thing you have holding the deck of the unit to the leg of the unit are plastic blocks. Now, usually when you deal with companies like this, they'll talk about a lot of things that don't really matter all that much, like bearings and the pulleys, which, just a side note, 55 seconds bottom to top. These pulleys do not turn fast enough to justify a bearing, and they're an extra maintenance point to deal with moving forward 3, 5, 6 years down the line owning a lift. That's why a bushing is really the proper thing to have in this application. But when it comes to the design, the companies that are talking about things other than safety are using the plastic slider design almost all the time. So here's what we're dealing with here. This outside steel slider design envelops this structural tubing. Now, obviously, this is tubing wrapped around tubing. So what that does is it eliminates the variable of any lateral movement in this system whatsoever. You couple that with a fasten locking system, and this look really is fail-proof. Now let's take a closer look at this lock design. What we've got here is a 2.5-inch thick steel plate, again, American-made steel, that goes inside the post. Now, what that means to you as the end user is that as these locks engage, you'll hear them click. Once they're inside and you get to the desired height, you simply lower the deck back down. Then what you have is a lock that goes inside and this outside outside slider comes down, you literally fasten it to the post. That makes it completely fail-proof and eliminates all of the rigidity whatsoever in this unit. Now, we're not the only company that manufactures this design. We are, however, the only company that manufactures this design in the United States with a commitment to deliver it at a price that's affordable to everybody. Our goal at Xtreme Equipment isn't to sell a lift and make millions of dollars every time we do. We want to sell a volume of units that helps keep the price down for everybody while not sacrificing safety and quality. At Xtreme Equipment, our jack tray is capable of handling a floor jack, bottle jack stands, or a scissor jack. Most air jacks will fit as well. And our metal drip pans are powder coated to either match or contrast the powder coating on your lift. Aluminum ramps are also available as an upgrade on any 4-post Xtreme Equipment lift. Our one-step caster kit makes it easy for one guy to roll our lifts around in his shop. Notice the neoprene coating on the wheel. That's for the guys that have epoxy-coated floors or painted floors and don't want to tear it up. We've thought of everything. Well, listen, thanks for stopping by and checking out our equipment. We appreciate it. If you have any questions, feel free to call one of our salespeople on the 800 number all over the website. If you'd like to request a brochure, you can email or you can call the 800 number. Remember, at Xtreme Equipment, we fill the middle ground. A lot of companies out there with $4,000 and $5,000 lifts, and there's a lot of companies with really cheap $16,000 or $18,000 or $2,000 lifts. What we offer is the right amount of lift for the right amount of money. Thanks again.